From classics to children's books, you never know what she's gonna cook when Gretchen makes novel moms.
Hi everybody and welcome back to Novel Noms. This week is very special and very important to me, and I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite meals, and one of my favorite authors in the whole wide world is Barbara Kingsolver. And she writes the most beautiful, wonderful books. In fact, she wrote the Poisonwood Bible, which I did a while back, and she also writes beautiful things about nature and balance and eating and all of those things that are really, really important to me. And she lived in Tucson for a long time, so it's kind of a cool little connection. She wrote a book called Animal Vegetable Miracle a few years ago, and it's about how her family moved from Tucson to this small little tiny farming town and decided that for a year they were going to only eat what they could raise themselves. And it was so inspiring to me because I think it's, you know, in the day of additives and preservatives and all the chemicals and awful things and the way things are processed, to actually eat things that are just in their purest form and from the place like where you live is the best way to eat, because you're always eating what's in season, which is better for you in the long run. Today I went to the farmer's market so I could find just what was in season here in Arizona, and was really excited to bring these home to cook for you and to share with you the beautiful, wonderful Barbara Kingsolver. So if you have not read Animal Vegetable Miracle, read it. Today, what I'm going to make for you, I'm going to grill some steaks and show you the proper way to grill a steak and make it taste perfect and tell that it's done, and it'll taste amazingly wonderful. And we're also going to make a beautiful little vegetable medley for you from fresh ingredients, and we're going to make some just plain old baked potatoes. But it's all going to taste amazing. So the first thing we need to do is, the potatoes take about an hour, I'll tell you this. Now these are about average size, they may take a little less than that, but about 425 on my oven. And I like to bake potatoes. Once you bake them instead of microwaving them, there's no going back, people. There's no going back. It tastes completely different. Plus the outside skin gets crispy and wonderful. And I'm actually going to do a couple of sweet potatoes at the same time. And some people will say, well, why would I turn on the oven for like three potatoes? Do more, because you can use them for, you can use leftovers for breakfast, for another dinner later that week. I use them all week long, so I'll do more than one just to make sure I have enough for a quick snack or a meal. I'm going to make it really, really simple. I just take olive oil and put a little bit on each potato. I'm going to massage in all that beautiful olive oil and coat the entire skin. Make sure the potatoes are dry before you do this or they won't get crispy. And then I use sea salt. Sea salt, it has more flavor, it's deeper in flavor, it gives a texture, it kind of coats the outside with this beautiful crust, like a dry rub almost, and it just tastes so much better. I'm just going to pat that all over my potatoes. Garlic powder, you could do fresh crushed garlic, whatever kind of herbs and spices you like. You could do rosemary, thyme, and a lot of people like to wrap potatoes in foil to bake them, which you can absolutely do, but this gives it a little bit extra crispy skin, which I really, really like. And if you're going to put it in the foil, make sure you poke holes in it or it will explode. And I'm just going to pop them in the oven. I'm going to set a timer for about 45 minutes and I'll check them. While waiting for the potatoes, is take your meat out and set it on the counter and let it, like, spread it out and let it come up to room temperature, because it's going to cook more evenly and cook better than if you just cooked cold meat right out of the refrigerator, which makes sense, right? It's going to cook a little bit faster because it's already up to that room temperature. So I'm just going to set it on the counter for about half an hour before you want to cook it. Alright, let's take out our potatoes. Perfect. Alright, so they are all done. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is our meat. It's very important to do a couple things. Like I said, put it on the counter before you want to cook it and make sure it's room temperature. The other thing is drying it. See, it's all wet. See the wetness of the meat? I'm just going to take a paper towel and just pat it dry. Make sure you don't leave any little paper towel pieces on me. It doesn't have to be perfectly dry, but trying to get a lot of the moisture off of it. Because again, you want this caramelized, crispy, barbecued exterior. Should be kind of your rule of thumb when you cook meat, is make sure you dry it first, because otherwise it's going to steam more than it's going to cook and get crispy and wonderful. For seasoning, it should really be very simple. We use a Lowry seasoning salt, which is my husband's favorite. You could use a regular old salt and pepper, but it should just be a very simple seasoning. A lot of people want to put crazy things like barbecue sauce, and that just means that you didn't buy a good cut of steak or you don't know how to cook it. So I just sprinkle a little bit of Lowry seasoning salt. You could use just plain old, the same sea salt we use for the potatoes. That would be fine. And you don't have to worry about putting too much, because it's going to form a crust and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to flavor the meat, but you have to put salt. Have to. You could have the most beautiful Black Angus Kobe beef steak and not season it, and it won't matter. You should have just spent $6 on a regular old steak from, you know, your local grocery store. So season it well. Black pepper, I like the coarse ground pepper. Alright, let's go grill. Okay, now I'm going to put these on the grill, and again, the key is be kind and simple. That's all you need to do. Light seasonings, and when we put these on the grill, you're not going to turn them a bunch of times, and you're not going to push down on them. Whenever you do that to meat or hamburgers or anything that you're cooking on the grill, you release all those juices and it's over. You want to make sure your grill is hot, and when you put these on the grill, it might flame up. If the flames like touch the steak, move them to the side until the flame kind of dissipates, because you just want a nice evenly, because if you have those flames, it's going to burn it. So you're going to put it on there, and for a thin steak, this is fairly thin. I'm going to cook this about 5 or 6 minutes. Each side, flip it one time. If they're thicker, you're going to flip it 3 times total. Put it on the grill, flip it a couple minutes, flip it a couple minutes, flip it a couple minutes till it's done. And then when these are about ready, I will show you how to test for doneness. Okay, while I'm waiting for the first flip on my steak, I'm going to start the vegetables. These are a beautiful bunch of carrots that I bought at the market today. Very different than the icky bagged ones you get. So those are fine in a pinch. But all I'm going to do with these carrots is cut them on a diagonal. Just lay them down, take my knife at a little like a 45-degree angle, and cut. So you get these pretty little spears. You can do this with any vegetable. This is great for asparagus, sugar snap peas that I also got at the market. Same thing. Just lay them kind of end to end there. Cut at an angle. Put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of a little saucepan. This is simple. Good food doesn't need a lot of crap. You don't need a lot of sauces and all that crap. So I'm just heating up some olive oil. It's nice and hot. I'm going to add my vegetables. Get that little sizzle. Happiness. Add a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. I like to move it a little to coat it. And then just let it sit on the bottom of your pan. You notice it's starting to brown there a little bit. You're going to get some beautiful caramelization on your vegetables. It's going to bring out all those lovely flavors of your veggies. I keep turning these. I'm probably only going to cook them for about 4-ish minutes total, so they all have a nice brown caramelization on them and are ready to eat with my steak and potato. Okay, so we need to test the doneness of the meat, and here's how you do it. Some people just cook it and cook it and cook it to death, or cut it and cook it, which makes it cook way faster and dry out faster. Here's what you want to do. Take your finger and poke it right in the middle. And feel the doneness. The doneness is, if you take your thumb and poke the bottom of it, that's about medium well. That's about what your meat should feel like. In the center of your palm, which is a little bit firmer and tighter, that's going to be well done. So that has some good give to it. And it's about that softness of my thumb. So that is going to be lovely and pink in the middle and delicious. So the vegetables have some caramelization on them. Simple seasoning, still have some crisp. And they're perfect and fresh and wonderful. And the potato has that crispy skin, which is going to give me like a little added little crunch. And the potato is so fluffy and wonderful and not like just boring and plain from the microwave. It's really good just by itself like this. Though I'm going to add butter and sour cream. And then the steak. It's tender, it's buttery, the salt adds to it but doesn't overwhelm it. It really is the key to steak. Let's review. Key to steak. Simple seasoning, salt and pepper. That's it. Put it on the grill, let it cook, flip it only 2 to 3 times total. Test it for doneness, don't just chop into it. And just let it shine and just dance in your face. That's the steak dinner, people. It's the beauty of fresh, wonderful ingredients from places where you know where the food came from. Go read Barbara Kingsolver, Animal Vegetable Miracle, and just enjoy your farmers markets. I want to remind all of you, go check out my website, novelnoms.com, because I post more than just videos, which you see here on YouTube. I post reviews of things like Top Chef and restaurants I go to, and little things that I find. And my husband's even going to start a little cereal corner, which are hilarious, with his reviews of his favorite cereals. And you'll have to just read it to just fully appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.
I told you guys I had a fun little announcement, and today at the farmer's market I met a cattle rancher who runs an organic, free-range, grass-fed cattle ranch, and we had a great conversation about Food Inc. and King of Corn, all of those movies and books and things that are trying to teach us how damaging the corporate farms and farming methods of raising meat and etc., how damaging that is, not just to your body but to the world in general. Anyway, so he invited me to come out to his ranch and film an episode of Noms. OMG, I'm so excited about that. So I'm just curious what questions you guys have about meat and what you should look for, or concerns you have, or things that you'd like to see on the farm, and really just kind of make it something that's informative and interesting and maybe even a little entertaining as well. So I'm really excited about that. Look for that in the coming months, and let me know what questions you have. Aaron, for him, for me, for anyone. And I thank you so much for watching.
From classics to children's books, you never know what she's gonna cook when Gretchen makes novel Noms.